So I'm Carl Riding. I'm from an organisation called Ygam. Ygam is a national charity. It did used to stand for the Young Gamers and Gamblers Education Trust, but we dropped the Sunday name because it was just too much of a mouthful. So now it's just Ygam. Just to let you know, we will be discussing maybe some things about mental health issues, gaming or gambling. So if there's any point that you want to leave the room, just as a bit of a trigger warning, please feel free to do so. I won't be offended or take it personally. So yes, I'm the head of programs. I oversee all of our 6 programs that we have that are for a raft of different professionals: teachers, youth workers, social workers, residential support workers, doctors, nurses, GPs, the list goes on. But it's really important, the message that we try to get across. We want to really make it clear that with Ygam and the work that we've been doing with partners and our partner organisations as well, that gaming and gambling harms need to be given just as much consideration as other risk-taking behaviours. And often, gambling is one of the things that's overlooked. My background was a primary school teacher who went then into safeguarding and then moved into this area. But I did actually work in some residential children's homes whilst I went back to university to do my master's in psychology. So I experienced firsthand probably what a lot of people in this room have also experienced. But with the theme today and one of the things coming up quite a lot being collaboration, I thought we'd kick off with something where we can collaborate together. So, question on the board. What percentage of 11 to 16-year-olds spend their own money on gambling in the last 12 months? I want you to discuss this just with people around you on your table next to you. Just 30 seconds. Is it 18%? Is it 31%? Or is it 50%? And think about the reasons why you're given the answer that you are actually given as well. I'll do my teacher countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Super. This side of the room, just shout out some of the answers that you think it might be. 31, 50, 18. We've got a full mixture. This side. 50, 31. So the correct answer was 31%. This was based on the Gambling Commission's report, 2022, based on around 2,600 young people aged between 11 to 16. But when we put that into actual figures, it equates to about 2 million young people. So 2 million young people aged between the ages of 11 to 16 have spent their own money on gambling in the last 12 months, which for me is 2 million too many. And that's something that we really need to take into consideration. So why do we exist? Multitude of reasons, but now everything is accessible at the palm of your hand. You've got your mobile phone, which you have your complete life on. Everything is there at the touch of a button. How often, just think about this, do you see children playing Kirby with a football outside? Trying to get 20 points for throwing it over a car to hit the curb, to bounce back and catch it. It doesn't happen. How often do you see children going to knock for their friends to check whether they're in by riding on the bike? 15-minute bike ride, they knock for the friend, or they're at the nan's today, sorry. So you used to ride right the way back home. They don't need to now. Everything is so accessible. The communication and the technology that we have is so far advanced that it's at the touch of fingertips. So this is why Ygam do what we do, because gaming and gambling now is just accessible. It's so quick to be able to put money on and purchase things online. So just the definitions of gambling and also gambling harm and how they differ just on the board. But I think here, when we talk about gambling as well, we talk about those that are participating in gambling, but it's so important to recognise that children are affected others. They can be an affected other. Usually when somebody's got a gambling addiction or suffering from gambling harm themselves, between 5 and 10 other people are naturally affected by that. And again, it's such a large amount of people, but it's not something that's generally talked about enough. When we look at comorbidity, we can see that risk-taking behaviours, again, by the Gambling Commission. Gambling was the second most popular risk-taking behaviour by 11 to 16-year-olds, only topped by that of those that have drunk an alcoholic drink. If you went back 10 years, this would not be the case. This is all because technology has advanced throughout the years. So we know that those risk-taking behaviours are going to change and will continue to change. But again, in schools, we talk to young people about drugs. We talk to young people about alcohol. We talk to young people about relationships, sex. Gambling was never on the curriculum. It's never been seen as a topic of importance, yet it's the second highest risk-taking behaviour. It's prominent, it's relevant, and it's now. If you look at the right-hand side, you've got the stats that show those who have participated with gambling are much more likely to also participate in other risk-taking behaviours as well. So again, that comorbidity element, we know that there's that correlation between the two. So just give you a second to just read the childhood experience on the board. So we know that trauma greatly impacts the amount that a person would tend to gamble. We know it's a massive contribution. We know that men are more prone to gambling, and addictive behaviours help someone obviously avoid certain memories that they try to dismiss as well. So these are the direct impacts. But why do young people gamble? So again, just 30 seconds, talk to people next year. Why do you think young people gamble? What is it that appeals to them? Okay, so when we look at why young people gamble, these were the actual responses. So we had 78% because it's fun, 36% the chance to win, so that monetary value, 23% they like to take risks, 13% because it's cool, and 10% because the parents and guardians do it. I'm just going to hone in on the last one, just purely from personal experience. For me, my first experience of gambling was with my granddad, and it was sat at the kitchen table, the newspaper spread wide open, and we were circling horses for the Grand National, and we were going, right, do you want to go by the name or do you want to go by the colour? And it was exciting. There was me and my cousins. We got £2 to use whichever way we wanted, so we could put 50p on each way, 2 different horses. We could put it all on one. Didn't have a clue at the time, but that was my first experience. 74% of children's first experience of gambling is actually with a parent, a guardian, or a carer. And more often than not, it's at the seaside. It's at the arcades, the 2p slot machines, which aren't regulated. And I'm not saying don't do it. Ygam remain really unbiased. But we're saying that's usually the first experience anybody's ever had of gambling. A researcher from Sweden actually came over and looked into our gambling culture over in the UK, because we have quite a high gambling culture. And they actually fed back that it's one of the only places in Europe that they'd actually seen us give young people a step to reach the actual slot machine. Not only do we give them a step, we then give them a big red cup to put all the coins in that they collect. It's madness, absolutely crazy. And like we do it in school, I did it as a teacher. We do raffles, we do tombolas. It's just a natural thing that we've instilled with children and young people from many years ago. But with gambling, we've got to take into consideration gaming and the blurred lines. So I'll just throw up some views from Children in Care. We hosted a group from Children in Care in May 2020, and this is what they said about gaming. So it's not a waste of money, it's relaxing. It gives you kudos, especially if you're playing the same game as all your friends. We know that FIFA's just changed its name. Every young person will either be asking for FIFA or would have already purchased the new FIFA 24 because it's cool, it's relevant, it's now, it's current. You can maintain relationships with friends, and it also provides a bit of an escape. If we're talking specifically about the LGBTQ+ community, gaming is such an important factor. Neurodivergence, such an important factor. It helps them be somebody else. It helps them escape the reality of what they're facing every single day, and it helps them make friends because they can be who they want And at the end of that computer, nobody knows who exactly they're talking to. But again, we know that comes with so many associated risks. And then we look at microtransactions, something that probably lots of people in this room aren't familiar with, but your young people will know these inside out. With microtransactions, you've got in-game currency, so things that you can buy to purchase stuff within the game. You've got random chance purchases, also known as loot boxes. It's not a physical thing that you're purchasing. Very much similar to when you used to buy a sticker pack for a sticker manual. You don't know what you're going to get. You always wanted the shiny or the Steve McManaman for the Liverpool brochure. You never used to get it. You'd always get Robbie Fowler, Robbie Fowler, Robbie Fowler. And you'd be trading them off with your friends in the playground. In-game items that you can use to buy or power up. So it could be a health pack, Call of Duty, other things like that. And then you've also got your exploration items that you can buy, which are like, if you don't buy something or if you don't purchase, you're going to get kicked out of the game straight away. So it makes people really, really kind of react without thinking. So with trauma and gaming, we know, like I said, it's an escape from reality. They disassociate from the life that they're living. They provide feelings of control for people because they're actually in control. A child in care, it'll be one of the first times in their life they can be in control of something they want to be in control of. So if they are gaming, it's going to be for a positive reason. Activities can trigger emotional responses, so it can actually break down some of those barriers. So if you are trying to have a conversation with children or young people and they're not responding, think, are they using gaming or can they use gaming in a way to try and get those emotions out? And repetitive activities can obviously be a massive distraction for people. It's not about not addressing the elephant in the room, it's just about self-preservation, making sure that they're okay as a child, and that's what we forget. They are children sometimes. So, won't read through this slide just because it's short of time, but feel free to come speak to me at the end about, obviously, the impacts on the child, both emotional, physical, and behavioural, because there's so many different ones as well. But I do just want you to just have a read of some of these that we did from, again, a focus group of effective others. This was 2 sisters. We did a case study and they provided this feedback to us. The box in the purple, so one of my earliest memories, possibly was hiding behind the sofa when there was a knock at the door. We were hiding from the bailiffs. Looking back, there wasn't much left in to take. Everything had been sold. A TV in the corner of the room and a beaten-up sofa. A knock at the door would have literally terrified me about what might happen. These children, before they got taken into care, the father was a drug abuser, the father was an alcoholic, and the father was a prolific gambler. These are your affected others, and these are the children that you also need to be considering. Gambling is still seen as one of the least identifiable addictions because it's hidden. Drugs, you get physical symptoms. Alcohol, you get physical symptoms. Usually with actual gambling, you don't see any sign. You don't see nothing. And that's why we do what we do. We're informed by lived experience, and we are also evidence-led, and we put them two together to make the most robust types of programs that we can for a whole raft of professionals because we identify the need and see how important it actually is. Some signposting options. So if you are going to take anything away from today, apart from me going back into old teacher mode, because I do miss it every now and again, some signposting, GAM Care, Young People Support Service, national organisation who we work with on a multitude of different programmes. But any concerns, refer young people straight into them and they'll set up some calls and start to do some work with them. Then the NHS gambling clinics. With these, they'll provide one-to-one treatment, group therapy, they'll inform, they'll educate, they'll advise, lots of different things, and they're based all around the UK as well. As I mentioned, we do have lots of different programmes. Programmes for teachers, youth workers, healthcare professionals, universities, for students specifically. Everything that we do is completely free. We're fully funded. It's our biggest thing that we need to emphasise. There is no cost to anything. We rely on funding streams to keep the work that we're doing ongoing. And I can honestly say I'm absolutely so proud to work for an organisation like this because not only is my team incredible, the ethos that we have as a general organisation is out of this world and like nowhere I've worked before. And that's because everybody is so passionate about the work that we do. If you do have any questions, come and see me at the end. I'll be more than happy to answer anything that you might have. Contact details on the board as well, and we also have some cards available. But thank you so much for listening.